They are, they had a poor run, which obviously then was the downfall of their previous manager. They were the first team to lose at home to Cardiff. They lost to 10 men at Southampton at home. They were battered by Crystal Palace in Puel's final game, and they had to make a change. But since then, he's galvanised the team. He's got that togetherness and that team, and that's what he does. He's magnificent at getting players on his side. Is Brendan Rodgers, and he's just told them go out and play and enjoy it. His training is different class. They're scoring goals, and I think that typifies him as a coach and as a manager. What he did last week with Harry Maguire, how to win an experienced pro over, and the rest of your dressing room.
You're talking about Maguire being given the game off.
Have the weekend off. Some things are more important. Not many managers. I remember in pre-season, Jose Mourinho kicked up a right fuss when I think it was Martial who came back from the pre-season tour to see the birth of his child, and Mourinho was absolutely fuming. That's what Brendan does. That's how he wins that dressing room over.
OK, we'll discuss this game in a bit more depth a little later on, and when we're back in just a few minutes, we'll look ahead to a huge weekend of action in the English top flight. You're listening to Premier League Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much. Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million Predictor game.
Register now at talksport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million Predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See talksport.com/predictor for full conditions.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends the shot. What a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2. Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
He's put down the dumbbells and has turned up here for the show. Chris Iwelumo is on the preview show. A Premier League winner, Paul Parker, joins us on the Premier League Preview Show.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back to TalkSport's coverage of Leicester City against Newcastle United from the King Power Stadium. I'm your host, Tim Long. Before we look ahead to this weekend's fixtures, let's remind ourselves what happened last weekend in the Premier League.
Chance here for France, it's 3-1. How
was that unfolding? The Bournemouth fans are absolutely beside themselves because Martin Atkinson has awarded the goal.
Hazard again has got the freedom of the penalty area. Right-footed shot into the corner, and there's the clincher, and it's that magic man again for Chelsea, Eden Hazard.
James Maddison round the wall and into the net, and Leicester City have made sure that they will take home all 3 points with them tonight.
Milivojevic, no mistake. 10 out of 10 for the Crystal Palace captain from the spot, and the Eagles have the lead.
Here's Firmino, here's Henderson, Liverpool have wrapped it up.
Into the 6-yard box, headed up and headed down. A chance there for Jack Yelker. He's onside and he scored. Well, that was last weekend in the Premier League, and another huge weekend to come, starting of course with Leicester against Newcastle here tonight. Tomorrow the early game is Tottenham against Huddersfield. A big result for Spurs in the Champions League of course this week, but a huge blow to suffer the injuries to Harry Kane and Dele Alli. It's just about the perfect game for them given the circumstances of those injuries, Ewan.
Yeah, it is. You know, Huddersfield nothing to play for. Nowhere they're going to be playing their football next season, and sometimes that can work for you because there's a relief. You can go out and express yourself, but we saw last week against Leicester that there was no relief there, and they got absolutely battered. And as you say, Spurs still in that race, still well in that top four, and they know they can ill afford to drop any points against the worst team in the Premier League.
4 games to come tomorrow at 3 p.m. UK time. Burnley against Cardiff, Brighton against Bournemouth, Fulham, Everton and Southampton, Wolves. We'll discuss each one of those in turn. For Burnley, a win as good as guarantees safety for them. Cardiff desperately need to win to close the gap on those outside the bottom 3. It's getting towards must-win time for Cardiff.
They've got a massive week. They've got Burnley tomorrow, and then on Tuesday they go to Brighton. Tim, their away form has been horrendous. They've got 28 points. Only 8 of those points have come away from home. And Burnley, you know, they got, I think they lost 4 consecutive games then. Those 2 wins against Bournemouth and against Wolves have put them on 36 points. I think Burnley are fine, but from a Cardiff point of view, I think they need to win these next 2 games against Burnley and against Brighton to give them any hope of staying up.
Yeah, you mentioned Brighton there. They're one of the teams just above the drop zone. A 5-point gap with it, but with a game in hand as well. A win tomorrow against Bournemouth for them would put them within touching distance of safety.
I mean, Neil Warnock said, he said today in his press conference, he thinks they need 10 points. If they get 10 points, that would put them on 38 points, which Bournemouth have got. So maybe Eddie Howe and his players are thinking, listen, unlikely, but maybe we're not quite safe yet, so maybe we need a couple of more points. But you just don't know what you're going to get from. I didn't expect them to lose to Burnley last week at home. They had a really good record at home against teams from outside the top 4, top 5. But you know, Brighton, after that disappointment of losing in the cup final, you know, they're only 5 points above Cardiff. You know, they need to win as well.
They have the extra game, of course, but as you say, it comes on Tuesday against Cardiff.
Yeah, you've got to win it. You've got to pick points. You know, I'm a firm believer that, especially at this stage of the season, you're better off having the points on the board.
Fulham against Everton, another one of those games. The Toffees really finding form to close the gap on 7th to just a point, and you'd expect that form to continue at Craven Cottage against already relegated Fulham.
Yeah, you would. They seem to have turned the corner. Everton, they've been playing well, they've been scoring goals. Defensively, they look a much more organised side. Marco Silva, he'll be absolutely delighted. And yes, you would expect Everton to, even though they're away from home, and you know, Fulham shocked at how they've performed so poorly this season. I was expecting better from them, but yeah, Everton, along with Leicester, Wolves and Watford, you know, vying for that 7th position.
Southampton against Wolves. Southampton the closest team to the bottom 3 at the moment, 5 points above Cardiff, having played the same amount of games. This will be a huge one for them against a Wolves team chasing 7th.
I thought they were very unlucky last Friday, Southampton. I thought the first half against Liverpool, I thought they were tremendous. Liverpool weren't at their best, and you know, since Ralph
Hasenhüttl. I'll take that.
Since he's been there, he's worked wonders. To be fair, I think they've won 4 of their last 5 games. Still not out of trouble, but I would expect Southampton. They're good at home. You know, they'll win the majority of their points to keep them in this division at St Mary's.
Now, a later game tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. UK time kickoff, is Manchester United against West Ham. Plenty of positives and negatives for United against Barcelona in midweek. The second leg of that Champions League quarter-final comes on Tuesday, but this is surely a must-win Premier League game if they're to make the top 4.
After they lost to Wolves about 10 days ago, the manager came out and said they will have to win at least 5 of their remaining 6 league games. So they can't afford to drop points here. You know, they're on a poor run. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 in all competitions. You know, you listen to some Man U fans, and they were disappointed with the performance that they gave against Barcelona. And I think the biggest mistake that they've made is appoint Solskjaer too early. Maybe they should have just kept him as caretaker until the end of the season, since he's been given the job full time. You know, the team's form and the results have been so up and down. Well, they've been down more than up.
It certainly will be a fascinating finish in the fight for the top 4. Now, what a super Sunday it is. The 2 title chasers in action. Crystal Palace against Manchester City is the earlier of the 2 games. And ahead of that one, we can hear from the manager, Pep Guardiola, who says his players can handle the pressure of the title race.
We have been 20 months incredible. So we lost, I think, 2 games in the last 23. So, in the way we lost. So I know how difficult is the Champions League and away and in against Tottenham there, and we make a good performance. Yesterday I reviewed the game, and I had sometimes when you review the games, I had the feeling that I was wrong when I was watching the game in the right moment, the right tempo, and I have the quite similar feeling I had when it happened. So we tried to do what we spoke, and we did it quite well.
City a chance to return to the top of the table before Liverpool play later on. This could be a key game in the title race for them. They lost to Palace at home in December, and they only drew 0-0 at Selhurst Park last season as well.
They did. They know as well that they can ill afford to drop any points. If they do, Liverpool play an hour after. They will capitalise on any drop points from Manchester, and they'll be hurting from what happened in midweek against Spurs. You know, that they were off their game. The manager's been criticised because of his team selection. Maybe he did have half an eye on this Crystal Palace game. And I've been to Selhurst Park many times. It's not an easy place to go. And I know Palace haven't been great there this season. They've probably performed better and picked more points up away from home. But yes, it's another one. A tough game for Man City, but I would expect them to win the game.
Well, no doubt the game of the weekend comes at Anfield, 4:30 p.m. UK time kick-off. Liverpool against Chelsea. Liverpool started to let the title slip in the same fixture under Brendan Rodgers, of course, 5 years ago. Chelsea need the points in their fight for the top 4. Ahead of this one, let's hear from the Liverpool manager, Jurgen Klopp, who says his team have to know how to deal with mistakes.
I'm not nervous. I'm really. I feel the intensity of the competition, and it's good. But in this moment, we see the positivity of the moment. But we never rested there. We always wanted to have to make the next step because it's not over yet. And yes, we are very positive about it. The boys are positive. The training sessions are positive. That's all clear. But still, it's so difficult. It's still so difficult. And if you want to go through without difficulties, you have no chance. It's not possible to play without mistakes. It's absolutely not possible to play a football game. So you don't have to worry about them. You only have to deal with them.
Talking about dealing with pressure, Ewan, this is the pressure game for Liverpool, given the memories of what happened 5 years ago.
They won't be thinking of that, Tim.
How can they not, though? They can't.
That's long gone.
There's some players still involved that were in.
The fans might be.
Yeah.
You know, the fans will still be hurting from that Steven Gerrard slip. But they're winning games that they shouldn't be winning. You know, you look back at the Spurs game at Anfield with the own goal in the last minute of the game. The Everton game at Liverpool where Pickford's thrown one in. Even last week against Southampton, they haven't played. I don't think they've been as good attacking as they were last season. You know, and Salah was never going to get the amount of goals that he did last season. But at home, they've got this mentality that they can't lose. I think they've not lost for 37 Premier League games at Anfield. I think Crystal Palace in April 2017 were the last team to beat them there. And I even though Chelsea, I can't believe they're third, by the way, Chelsea. People are slaughtering Sarri there, he's this, he's that. They're still third. They've still got a great chance of finishing in the top four. But Liverpool will know, and I do think that is a benefit for Liverpool. They will know what they have to do before the game, because obviously City kick off slightly earlier.
And that is Sunday. There's one more game on Monday as well. Watford against Arsenal. That's a big game for Arsenal, of course, trying to restore Champions League football to the Emirates for next season. We've just about run out of time to talk about that one, though, so we'll turn our attention back to our first live commentary of the weekend and hear from the two managers, Newcastle's Rafa Benitez and first Leicester's Brendan Rodgers.
You know, Rafa's a top-class manager who's organises his teams exceptionally well. You know, they play in a 5-4-1 structure when they haven't got the ball, so it can be very difficult to break that down. So patience is going to be important, but always with speed and looking to be creative as we possibly can.
To be fair, I think it's a good team, and it was a good team before. Now they have won some games in a row and they have more confidence, but they have very good young English players, or even young foreign players. They have experience with Vardy, Morgan. So I think the team is a very good team, and now they are playing with more confidence, and it will be tough for us for sure.
The job really is to get through to the end of the season, building this base for the summer and for next season. But of course, whilst the players are playing well and they're winning, then of course you collate the points and it brings you towards a European place. But others will still have, you know, advantage on us with the games to play. But for us, it's just going into every game, giving our very best and looking to perform well.
We have to just approach every game with confidence, calm, and at the same time this belief that we can do it, because we are doing well. We are quite solid. We are missing this final pass, like the majority of the teams, or this mistake in defence that is costing us points.
We talked already about the immediate impact that Brendan Rodgers has had on Leicester. You talked about his man management. What tactically has he changed?
He's changed the shape slightly. You know, Claude Puel, he was playing with two sitting midfielders. Brendan's got rid of one of them. He's just left Ndidi, who's been tremendous in that role on his own. He's got pace up front, he's got pace down both wings, he's got two full-backs that absolutely love bombing forward. And over the years, Leicester, they've probably been better known as a counter-attacking side. The way they won the Premier League, they scored so many goals on the counter-attack with Jamie Vardy. But they've got two proper footballers, technically very, very good in James Maddison and Tielemans in that midfield, slightly further up. And they can unlock doors. They can thread passes through to Jamie Vardy and the likes of Barnes and Damari Gray. And I expect Newcastle, they'll defend deep, they'll get men behind the ball. And you look at the way they've got Rondon, who I really like. I think he's a proper handful. He puts himself about. He's their main goal threat. And they've got pace in Perez and Alderweireld.
And one player who's had his position affected by Rodgers' style of play is James Maddison. He's now playing as a number 8 rather than a number 10, as was the case under Puel. Top performances in both positions for both managers this season. The stats show he's created the joint most chances of all players in Europe's top 5 leagues, along with Memphis Depay at Lyon. That's a jaw-dropping illustration of his ability and potential.
Well, and you can see why the likes of Arsenal have been mentioned with putting a bid for him in the summer. He's a talented player. He's a young lad. He's 22. I saw quite a lot of him last season when he was at Norwich. I think he was Norwich's top scorer. Free kicks, he's lethal. We saw the one at Huddersfield, we saw the one at Burnley a few weeks. So he is a very, very good footballer.
OK, game week 34 in England's top flight is just moments away. Leicester chasing European qualification under Brendan Rodgers. Newcastle looking to secure survival under Rafa Benitez. Kick-off is right after this. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. It's the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Has a run of Sterling to find, and he does find him in the area. Raheem Sterling for a hat-trick here! And the hat-trick is gobbled up by Raheem Sterling. What a player this young man is.
Tries to play forward. Hayward puts it up in the air. Comes down. Charge for 3-2. It is 3-2. Perez scores again. Well, it's times to be a Geordie fan from 2-0 down to 3-2 up.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Really good delivery from Knockout. Here's the ball into the back of the net. And Antone has scored for Brighton. There is the breakthrough.
And Wolves win possession through Jimenez. Jimenez is going to go himself. There's another chance here. Come for 2-0 possibly. Jimenez! Jimenez 2-0 to Wolves. And Cardiff are now all at sea.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
First time touch trying to find Lukaku. He's broken his way and Lukaku's bent it into the bottom corner for what may well prove to be the winning goal in the final minute of the 90.
He's usually unerring from the spot, Harry Kane. He's scored all his last 5 spot kicks. He faces Bernd Leno and scores again! And Tottenham Hotspur have levelled with 16 minutes to go. Harry Kane has now got 9 goals in 9 games against the Gunners. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Arsenal 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Leicester City against Newcastle United from the King Power Stadium. I'm your host, Tim Long. Alongside me, the former Leicester, Watford and Norwich striker, Ewan Roberts. This is Premier League Live. Before kick-off, let's take a final check on the 2 lineups for Leicester. Schmeichel in goal, a back 4 of Ricardo Pereira, Maguire, Morgan and Chilwell. In midfield, and Ndidi is holding. Ahead of him, Barnes, Maddison, Tielemans and Gray supporting Vardy up top. For Newcastle, Dubravka, the goalkeeper, a back 3 we expect of Lascelles, Cher and Dummett. The wing-backs, Manquillo on the right, Ritchie on the left, Hayden and Key in midfield, Jose Perez and Almiron supporting Rondon up front. The players are out on the pitch. Newcastle in the black and white stripes, black shorts, white socks. Leicester, of course, in their home blue from top to bottom. 5 fantastic performances for them since Brendan Rodgers took charge. 5 more games standing in their way of a return to Europe for the first time since winning the Premier League in 2016. For Newcastle, it's 5 games to put the seal on delivering another season in England's top flight. Perhaps just 5 games remaining for the man who's masterminded their potential survival again. The future is certainly less secure for Rafa Benitez than it is for Newcastle United as a club. The sky is dark, the floodlights are bright, the grass a glorious green, the atmosphere crisp and crackling. Nothing like a Friday night under the lights. Well, then again, maybe there is. Leicester have played more Premier League games on a Friday without winning than any other side. 4 defeats and 2 draws from 6 attempts. Newcastle have lost more Friday games than anyone else in the league's history. 6 defeats already in the weekend's curtain raiser. Both need the win for very different reasons here this evening, Ewan.
I think Leicester's need for 3 points is slightly more than Newcastle. You know, Newcastle 35 points, 7 points in front of Cardiff. They've got a vast superior goal difference, which is always worth a point. So they probably need a couple of points to guarantee Premier League safety. But Leicester know that they can't really afford to drop points with. I mean, they've got really a tough last 3 games against teams fighting for that top 4. But at home, they'll have a good start. They'll be on the front foot.
Here's Tielemans trying to get on the front foot indeed in the Newcastle half, greeted by a crunching challenge as Vardy was just a few moments earlier. And Newcastle get the first ball into the box, has to be defended at the back post by Chilwell, who heads behind for a corner. Positive start at both ends of the field from Newcastle.
A really positive start from Newcastle. And Matt Ritchie, he is an actual winger. He's not a defender, but he's taken to that wing back role absolutely superbly. It's a great ball in, Tim. And that sums Newcastle up. When that ball goes in, no one's attacking the ball.
Corner from the far side for Newcastle. The big lads will come up from the back. The likes of Cher and Lascelles, Rondon and Hayden offering plenty of height in there as well. It's a dangerous moment early on for Leicester. Outswinging corner towards the penalty spot, headed towards goal, and comfortably fielded in the end by Kasper Schmeichel.
Lascelles doing ever so well there, nice and early. Didn't get the power that he needed to test Kasper Schmeichel in that Leicester goal. But I'm looking at Chilwell and Ricardo, both had absolutely tremendous seasons from left back and right back. They might have to be slightly more cautious because of the width that Newcastle possess in their wing backs and in Perez and Almiron.
Here goes Chilwell like a rocket, bursting forward over on the left flank, all the way to the edge of the Newcastle penalty area, cross into the box, flicked to the near post by Vardy, but gathered by Dubravka.
It's half a chance. That is half a chance. It's a great ball in, and this is Ben Chilwell at what he does best. Surging forward, it's a good ball in. I just think he goes with his foot when he should be going with his head. I think he only needs the slightest of touches with his head, and he could have caused Dubravka more problems than he did.
And not only is Vardy looking to flick that at the near post, but had the cross gone beyond him, there was Tielemans and Gray completely free at the back post.
And that's what Brendan's given this team. He's given them licence to push forward, because he's looked at how they play, and they only really need the one central defender, you know, looking after the 2 central defenders, and Deeney, he won't venture too far from that centre circle. He'll get it and he'll just keep it simple as he has done there. He's found Ricardo, and then they leave the rest to Gray, to Barnes, Maddison and Tielemans.
At one point towards the end of last season, Wilfred Ndidi had the highest number of tackles and interceptions combined of any player in Europe's top 5 leagues. That's what he brings. Leicester haven't had a player with those kind of stats since N'Golo Conte, of course, in that title-winning campaign. Some of the Leicester fans refer to Ndidi as the tall Conte.
He is slightly bigger, isn't he? But he's got great discipline.
Here's Damari Gray getting away on the near side. A chance to attack the edge of the penalty area. Pushed down to the deck. Was there a foul? The referee shakes his head, and so too does the assistant on this near side.
I do think he goes slightly down too easy. Dummett gets back ever so well. He's got to be stronger there for me, Damari Gray. Nothing in that from Paul Dummett.
Only 3.5 minutes gone. We've had a couple of illustrations already of the pace and youthful exuberance that Leicester possess, with Chilwell on the far side and Gray on the near side. Here's Morgan getting forward with some youthful exuberance, isn't
What's he doing there?
Where's Morgan, the 35-year-old centre-back?
He has scored a couple of goals since he's been recalled into the team by Brendan Rodgers.
But not Harry Maguire today.
Not many from that far out, I don't think.
Newcastle have just held up the pace of Leicester's attack, this time over on the far side. Leicester have to settle for a throw taken by Chilwell. And now Leicester starting to settle on the ball as it goes in towards Ndidi. In the centre circle, moved across to Pereira, who's very adept at getting forward from right back, Ricardo Pereira. He's got 5 assists to his name this season, another really good addition.
He put that great ball in for Jamie Vardy's first goal last week, didn't he? Across that 6-yard box in the second half. It's a ball that a centre forward absolutely dreams of, and he has been outstanding. You know, he's keeping Danny Simpson out the side. Both are just full of energy down both flanks.
A really promising debut season in the Premier League. He's only 25. There's so much young talent in this Leicester team. It is frightening when you think about Barnes, Maddison, Gray, and then Ndidi, the holding midfield player, Chilwell as well. And they've got a bunch of them.
How old's Harry Maguire?
He's only about 25, 26, isn't he? 26. Here is Ricardo Pereira. Leicester dominating possession now, Ndidi. Facing back towards halfway and looking to turn was Maddison. And that deeper role that we talked about, Chilwell down the line. Harvey Barnes, one of those exciting young players, back to Chilwell. And Leicester will comfortably and in a controlled manner go back into their own half and start to build again. They're just shifting the ball around, looking for the right avenue of attack.
But in the past, this is where Leicester have struggled. When teams come to the King Power, they get men behind the ball, they defend deep, they're quite happy just to sit outside their own penalty area. Leicester have had plenty of possession, but had found it very, very difficult to break these types of teams down.
Maddison was able to turn that time, and he found Ben Chilwell, who was cutting in towards the far corner of the penalty area, but those two not quite on the same wavelength as Chilwell got the ball slightly behind him and stuck under his feet. And the threat is there early on though from Leicester. We've played 6 minutes here on Premier League Live. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. The home side have had 78% of the ball. And they've just won another throw halfway inside the Newcastle half on the far side as they attack the goal across to our right. Chilwell to take it. Maddison to try and get on the end of it. Back to Chilwell. Challenged sharply by Jose Perez, who's been required more in a defensive position over on the far side in these early exchanges, and Brendan Rodgers already out on the edge of his technical area here at the King Power Stadium and already making a few notes.
And this is exactly what Rafa Benitez and his players would have prepared for. You know, going into the game, Leicester having plenty of possession. I think they'll be quite happy with that, with Leicester having the ball. They'll be quite happy. They know they're good at getting men behind the ball. They've got that discipline, they've got that defensive organisation. That's what Benitez brings to the team, and they've been successful from doing this season because they know they're not going to outscore teams.
Chilwell plays one long this time, looking to use the pace of Vardy, but Newcastle inevitably sitting back with a deep defensive line and won't allow that space to run in behind.
That was the space where down that left-hand side from Leicester where Manquillo had pushed up the right wing back, which means there was that space to play the ball into for the run of Jamie Vardy, but just the pass wasn't quite good enough.
Rafa Benitez having to shift his personnel around a little bit to cater for the serious injury for Florian Lejeune, who did his Achilles knee ligaments for the second time since the summer. His opposite knee, this time he'll miss the remainder of the campaign. Here comes Chilwell forward again, trying to exploit that slightly makeshift back line.
That's great defending by Newcastle. As soon as that ball gets to Harvey Barnes, he's got three players straight onto him.
And now Newcastle on the counter, and it had to be cut out by Maguire, and was. Tielemans picking up the loose ball. Newcastle looking to press from the front now, but Leicester comfortable in possession to try and pass their way out from the back.
Leicester will like that. They'll like seeing 4 or 5 Newcastle players squeezing up that field, putting the midfielders and Leicester's defenders under pressure.
And it's created this space for Maddison to turn into. Newcastle have committed players further forward in the press, and now Leicester have more room to play. Ndidi joining the attack. He's closed down though, trying to pirouette away from the challenge of Almiron. Newcastle pinch it back. They're going to have to fight like that all night long. Key in the centre circle. Newcastle can try and move it around at the back now and settle here with Paul Dummett playing on the left side of the 3 centre-backs. Newcastle have rejigged the defence and got 2 left-backs into the lineup in Manquillo and Dummett, and neither of them are playing left-back.
No, I expected Dummett to play because he can play in centre defence as well. I think he is far more comfortable there. I didn't expect Matt Ritchie to switch over to the right-hand side because he's not a natural defender, and to ask him to play that right wing back would be harder. But at least Manquillo, he knows the defensive side of the game.
That's right, Manquillo on the right side of the defence, Ritchie retained on the left, done at the left of the 3 centre-backs along with Cher and Lascelles. Approaching the 10-minute mark at the King Power Stadium, Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Ndidi receives it from Gray. Chilwell getting forward as he always finds a way to do so into Newcastle territory. And Didi now had it pinched off his toes by Key, but he couldn't control. Maguire is very good at helping Leicester build from the back, and Didi. Leicester happy to take their time.
And Leicester are finding it hard to get the ball into their two playmakers, Tielemans and Maddison, because of that forward across the midfield for Newcastle.
Here goes Ricardo Pereira bursting forward down the right wing now. Trying to find a way to get his ball into the box, faced by two Newcastle players, able to move it on. Maddison looked to run over it and allow it to run. Didn't quite come off, but it was a nice idea.
It was odd, but Maddison, he has to wait for the shout from Demarai Gray. Unless he hears that shout, he can't really let the ball run through his legs.
And we're seeing Leicester move it around inside their own half again now. The 3 matches this season that they've completed passes the most in their own half have all come within the 5 games of Brendan Rodgers. That tells you something, doesn't it?
That's the way Brendan, I saw plenty of Brendan's teams, of his team when he was at Swansea. That's the way they play. It was all about retaining the ball, all about possession, but they had an end product as well.
What you really have to admire is how quickly they've adapted to be able to do it.
He did the same at Liverpool. That passing game, that being patient.
Leicester certainly are being patient now, as indeed he moves it across to the far side once more and receives it back just off the edge of the centre circle. Maguire had got forward alongside him. Ricardo Pereira out to the near side to Demarai Gray, hugging the near touch line, then looking to dribble infield. He'll get a cross in from a deeper position, but he scuffed it low and it was comfortably clear.
Anderson made a good run as well, and you can see Lascelles' number, which would always give a defender a problem when a forward can see your back, but just poor delivery in.
Maddison and Chilwell, the two young English talents, combining on the far side, but then a stray ball into the box was gathered by Dubravka, who pounced quickly off his goal line.
Just looking at that Newcastle back three, they're virtually camped on their 18-yard box, and they're quite happy with that, because they know that from that position, it's nearly impossible for the ball to be lifted over their heads into the run of Jamie Vardy.
Maddison flicking forward to Vardy, who does well to flick it across to Chilwell on the far side. That's where the space is for Leicester now on the left wing. Here's Harvey Barnes looking to cut in onto his bend one towards the far top corner, but his body shape was leaning backwards and he fires it over the top.
I think that's his lack of experience, young Harvey Barnes. Another surging run down that left hand side by Chilwell. He comes inside, he's got 4 blue shirts in that box, he's got 3 in the 6-yard box. He's got to cross the ball.
It's always the temptation, isn't it, as a right footer playing on the left when you cut in like that to have a go.
Yeah.
It was 4 blue shirts versus 3 black and white shirts. Had he picked his head up and looked for a teammate?
If he puts it in the top corner, we don't say a word.
Well, he's full of confidence, the 21-year-old, having got himself into the starting lineup for Leicester, having spent the first half of the campaign away from the club on loan at West Brom in the Championship. He scored 9 goals and had 6 assists in 26 starts in the second tier. Dummett's got some defending to do as he shepherds a through ball back to his goalkeeper Dubravka.
A really good defensive position by Dummett. He's in and out of this Newcastle side. He's a player that might have to think about his future, because he doesn't start that many games. He always comes in when there's an injury. But he's a very, very clued up defender. He could see where the space was. He could see that Richie was slightly further up the field than he should have been. He could see that Demarai Gray was going to make that run down that right hand side. He just gives himself a couple of yards, drops slightly deeper, and he's there then to
Morgan and Maguire getting in a tangle as they both went to try and cover the same ball, and one played it off the other. It might have ricocheted back into the path of Rondon, but Leicester get away with it for now. Jose Perez challenged by Morgan and fouled by Morgan. And it's going to be a free kick for Newcastle, 30 yards from goal in a central position.
Big Wes, his arms go out, he's not too sure. I think it is a bit soft, in all honesty. It's the one of Demarai Gray at the start of the game when him and Paul Dummett came together. The ref didn't give that one. I don't think that one is. I think Perez goes down far too cheaply.
The best opportunity since that corner in the opening couple of minutes for Newcastle to have a strike at the goal of Kasper Schmeichel. It's at some distance away, maybe even just a yard or two more than 30. But Solomon Rondon is one player who will fancy it. He's already equalled his best ever goal-scoring campaign in the Premier League with 9, and here comes the number 9, and what a try as well! Off the crossbar, he had Schmeichel beaten all hands up.
That would have been his 10th Premier League goal of the season, and he's ever so unlucky. I mean, it's a magnificent, magnificent free kick. It's got bend, it's got dip. Schmeichel's beaten, even though he's rushing across his goal line to try and get his fingertips to that ball. Absolutely great effort by Rondon.
He's battling away in the penalty area now, trying to greet a bouncing ball. Leicester just about survived from the free kick and just about survived that time as well as they prod it away. Rondon's underneath it again, but the offside flag is up on the far side, and we've seen then just over the last 20 seconds or so what you expect from Solomon Rondon, putting his body about, ruffling feathers. What we don't expect is a free kick like that.
I saw himself and Matt Ritchie there, and I'm thinking, out of the two, I'm giving it to Ritchie all day long with that really cultured left foot. But fair play, he's a big boy, he's got a physicality about him. I didn't think he'd have the technique to produce a free kick as he just has done. But it just goes to show in that couple of minutes we saw from Newcastle, if they're a bit more adventurous, you know, they could go away winning this game.
It's certainly set up nicely here tonight. Both teams having opportunities. Two very different tactical game plans going head to head. Here's Morgan. And Leicester looking to use their patient build-up play from the back again. Ricardo Pereira. Really has had a good season, Solomon Rondon. 9 goals and 5 assists in 27 Premier League appearances, and given that he was not even a 1 in 4 striker before this season, playing for West Brom, he's increased his numbers in a team that is very defensive-minded.
Exactly, Tim. I don't think he gets that many chances in a game, in all honesty, and I think that the stat that you've just read out there, that just goes, you give him an opportunity and he's clinical.
3 seasons in the Premier League at West Brom, his record was 24 goals in 108 games. This season he's got 9 in 27. Maguire. Chilwell. 17 minutes played here on Premier League Live. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Losing out there was Ndidi, and a chance for Rondon again. He'll try and slip it through, and having to be alive and alert to the situation was Ricardo Pereira to help it back to Schmeichel. And how cool was that? From inside his own 6-yard box, passing through a crowd of bodies out to Ndidi, who shifts it on further. Maddison can turn. Leicester looking to exploit the holes at the back now, with Chilwell racing forward again from left back. Harvey Barnes in support, onto that right foot again, just inside the far edge of the penalty area, for plenty of black and white shirts around him.
And as you say, once again, he just wants to cut inside on that right foot. And sometimes you're not going to be allowed to do that. The defender's going to force you down the line. You've got to be confident and have confidence in that left foot, that when you go past him, you can put a good ball in with that left foot of his.
Offside flag up against Newcastle again on the far side. That's 3 times now, which again illustrates their game plan.
The thing is, he doesn't need to go early, Alvarez, because he is quick, he is rapid.
Miguel Almiron, who is Newcastle's club record signing, £21 million from Atlanta in January. He was an MLS All-Star in both of his seasons in Georgia. He's yet to score or assist in 8 Premier League appearances, the 25-year-old. Maddison receiving it back from Chilwell.
Just too slow from Leicester. It is too slow. They need to up the tempo. Newcastle, they're looking very comfortably defensively at the minute. They're quite happy in their defensive shape. Everybody behind the ball, even Rondon at times.
Maguire across to Chilwell. Leicester players who know each other for club and country, combining again. Morgan. Ricardo Pereira. Ndidi. Chilwell receives it over on the far side. Again, Leicester moving it about, this time with a bit more precision and purpose as it goes backwards and then forwards and then across from the left side to the right side. Ricardo Pereira.
Once again, they're being forced backwards. You know, once Leicester cross that halfway line, once they get 15-20 yards into the Newcastle half, that's when Newcastle start pressing. At the minute, around the centre circle, they're quite happy at Newcastle. Look at the back four, nearly on their 18-yard line.
And they're asking the question of Leicester, can you break us down? Chilwell over on the far touchline as Leicester try and spread the field to create as many gaps as possible, but they're not materialising at the moment.
Going nowhere, Tim. Ball still in that centre circle with Ndidi.
Pereira. Infield it goes, a chance to turn maybe now for Tielemans. Ndidi, he could only turn backwards. Here's Harry Maguire looking to join the attack as well. The pass was slightly behind Harvey Barnes on the far side. He scurries back to retrieve it. Maguire again. And now Morgan.
It's keep ball at the minute. It was 10 passes ago. Leicester be about 5-0 up.
They'll try their look down the right side again. Ricardo Pereira challenged so tightly by Dummett. Back to Gray. The first time he's seen the ball in this passage of possession. Ndidi across to the far side it goes. Chilwell getting forward. Madison, can he turn away on the edge of the box? Chilwell's into the area. Good strike. And a good save from Dubravka as well. Leicester turned it on like a tap. Slow, and then quick from Chilwell over on the far side to draw the save.
Just that little 1-2, wasn't it, with James Madison. Lovely touch by Madison. For 1 second I thought Chilwell was going to go down.
Here's Gray into the D. He's challenged by Cher. Newcastle pinch it back, and now this is where they will try and be dangerous on the counter-attack. Rondon tries to turn it around the corner but gives it away. Chilwell to the far side to Barnes, now to Vardy. He's hardly touched the ball, but he'll try and dribble towards the edge of the box now. Challenge and knocked down to the floor, no free kick. Key will turn. Newcastle looking forward again. A quarter of the way through, it's fascinatingly poised.
But as soon as Newcastle get it and you think the game's getting stretched, you can just see their minds ticking over. Hey, this isn't how we're supposed to play. We've got a game plan. We know what we're good at. Just settle down and carry on playing and defending like we have done. But a really good opportunity for Chilwell. Didn't really get hold of the shot. Decent save by Dubravka. The only disappointing aspect from a Leicester point of view, no one following it in.
Chilwell's talent quality is absolutely undeniable. He's 22 now, the left back who came through the academy, made his senior debut in the cup competitions during that title-winning campaign 3 seasons ago for Leicester. Very much first choice now and looking to make a splash on the international scene with England as well. But for the amount that he gets forward, are you surprised it's just 0 goals and 3 assists this season?
I am, because I think Ricardo's chipped in with a couple of goals, but I think he just offers you so much, and it's such a big part of a full-back's game now. Yeah, you've got to be strong defensively, but you've got to have so much energy up and down that. You've got to play like a winger, basically, but then when you lose the ball, you've got to get yourself back next to your centre-half.
Here come Newcastle, plenty of space on this near side. Getting forward to get the cross in was Ritchie, and it's turned away and behind for a corner by Morgan.
He's just got caught on the counter-attack with Leicester. Gave it away, I think it's Ndidi again, not strong enough on Rondon. He releases Almiron, who's very, very patient. He knows Ritchie's coming, and it's not the best of balls by Matt Ritchie. I would expect him to do better there with that left foot of his. Almiron wanted the ball back, but I think he was being picked up, and I think he'd see Rondon on that back post, but a disappointing ball in for Ritchie.
Ritchie will take the corner, which is Newcastle's second of these opening 23.5 minutes. Leicester yet to have one. It's the first from this near side as it goes deep towards the far edge of the penalty area, hooked away by Ndidi with that long right leg of his, as far as Almiron on the far side, who's up against Chilwell. Back in a defensive position this time. Maguire's across to the far side as well to try and block the route into the penalty area for Newcastle. They've worked it nicely out of that tight situation. Ritchie hangs it in towards the head of Rondon. Almiron in there as well. A chance to turn and to strike, and a comfortable save at the end of it for Schmeichel.
He said there was a quickly got his shots off on his favoured left foot. Comfortable save in the end, but at long last Newcastle just applying a little bit of pressure. Comfortable save by Schmeichel in the end.
And then one lashed well over the top from 30 yards off the right boot of Isaac Caden, but Newcastle are picking their moments to pounce, and they're showing that they can be a threat to Leicester here.
Once again, Leicester sloppy in possession. Once again, it's Ndidi, just took his eye off the ball, which then landed at Hayden's free from about 30 yards. It's a wild effort. He's leaning back. This is Chilwell's effort here, and it's a decent save, and what he's done well, the keeper, he hasn't palmed it back into the middle of the 6-yard box. He's palmed it away from his left-hand post.
I've seen a couple of saves from both goalkeepers now, but they've all been fairly comfortable, haven't they?
You'd expect top goalkeepers like these two are to be keeping them out.
Just going back to that latest Newcastle chance, that's the downside of playing out from the back, isn't it? And even the teams that do it as well as anybody, Barcelona in midweek against Manchester United, were giving it away inside their own half.
I think that's how certain managers want you to play. They want you to play from your goalkeeper into your back four through midfield. And if that's how your manager wants you to play, you are going to make mistakes, and you have to take responsibility. You can't then go blaming the players for trying to do what you want them to do. And I think that's what Brendan does, that's what Guardiola does, that's what Klopp does. They will take responsibility every time there's a mistake if it leads to a goal.
Leicester will persist in trying to play their way through the lines, no doubt about that, as they move it out towards Ricardo Pereira. Tielemans gets it back from Morgan, signed on loan from Monaco in January. Yuri Tielemans, and what a impact he's had as well, in the same vein as the new manager at Leicester. 2 goals and 3 assists in 8 Premier League appearances so far for the 21-year-old Belgian.
I mean, Leicester fans would really love to see him signing permanently. You know, he's broken into that Belgian side. He's still only 21, a very, very good footballer, and he's just settled at Leicester straight away.
Sorry, no disrespect to Leicester, but there will be some bigger clubs perhaps sniffing around as well.
I'm surprised that there wasn't in January. I think he was sort of mentioned with 2 or 3, but I don't think they thought he could settle as quickly as what he has done in January, because you haven't got time to get to know your teammates. There's no pre-season friendlies. You've got to hit the ground running, and I think 1 or 2 didn't think he was quite capable of doing that, but it's just goes to show that he has.
He's absolutely proved them wrong at Leicester so far over those 8 games. And think about Manchester United had that terrible first half of the season. They let Fellaini go. He could have gone there, couldn't he? Relatively low risk on loan from Monaco. If he is to make a permanent move, I think his price might have gone up a bit just because of these performances for Leicester over the last couple of months.
I think they'll probably have to pay slightly more than what they thought in January.
Harvey Barnes going through the gears all the way into the penalty area, turning on the afterburners as well, and drilling it left-footed into the near post and into the midriff of Dubravka.
For the first time, he does go down the line. You know, he shows that power and that pace. And maybe once again, it's his inexperience. He goes for the shot at the near post. Dubravka's got that covered. And Jamie Vardy was, and I think James Maddison as well, was in that 6-yard box waiting to pounce.
Here's Ndidi. Such an injection of pace again to the Leicester attack. So many players capable of providing it. Tielemans. Pereira. Here's Ndidi, who just sits as the anchor and holds it all together. He gets it back from Chilwell. Maguire to Morgan. Pereira.
Sloppy.
Can't connect with Damari Gray on the near side. Newcastle have a throw in.
Just took his eye off the ball. Sloppy pass by Ricardo.
5 wins in 6 games for Leicester since parting company with Claude Puel. 4 straight wins now under Brendan Rodgers. 4-1 at Huddersfield, 2-0 here against Bournemouth, 2-1 at Burnley, 3-1 here against Fulham. As we talked about before kick-off, it's not the toughest run of games. All of those opponents in the bottom 8 of the Premier League.
But you know what? When you're a new manager, those are the type of fixtures you want. I mean, look at when Solskjaer went into Old Trafford. He had some very winnable games in his opening first 5 or 6, which they won. And the same with Brentford. The toughest test that he's had up to now was in his first game away at Vicarage Road, a game that they lost. But then in the back of his mind, he probably thought, well, we have got 4 very winnable games coming up, and the players haven't let him down.
And we talked about trying to establish a very different style of play as well. It's the perfect opportunity to do that.
It is, and it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, especially when the players that you're working with haven't really been too used to play this type of game.
Chilwell. Harvey Barnes back to Ndidi. Just about right on the half-hour mark now at the King Power Stadium. Leicester 0, Newcastle 0. Here on Premier League Live. Chances at both ends. Not too many clear-cut ones. One bomb's going to have a go from inside the centre circle, and it will go out of play about 10 yards from the corner flag for a throw-in.
To be fair, he has looked up. He must have seen Kasper Schmeichel off his goal line, but it is a bit ambitious shooting from there.
Given the way he struck the crossbar from a 32-yard free kick earlier in the game, confidence at a high. You might think twice the next time.
It went for a throw-in.
By 10 yards, it went for a throw-in. He was backpedaling Schmeichel, wasn't he?
He was well outside his penalty box. And you never know if Rondon had made good contact and it was on goal, he could have been scurrying back to his 6-yard box, could Kasper Schmeichel.
Leicester have had 72% of the possession in the opening half an hour here. They're on the ball again. Chilwell into Maddison. Moves it on towards Vardy. Vardy turning and looking to fire into the near bottom corner, but the flag was raised on the near side.
Yeah, he looked offside. And then he is on the Celtics shoulder. That little darting run just in behind. But yeah, just missed time there by Jamie Vardy. The first time James Maddison really getting himself on the ball and threading that pass through, but just gone a second too early.
8 goals in the last 8 games for Jamie Vardy, 6 in 5 so far under Brendan Rodgers, including a couple at Huddersfield on Saturday. And for all of that 72% possession that Leicester have had, and the amount they've been moving the ball around trying to find the best route of attack, we've not said his name too often.
No, they haven't. You know, they've marshalled him very, very well of the 3 central defenders from Newcastle.
Almiron on this near side trying to dribble through a gap into the edge of the penalty area. Ritchie picks up the baton and runs with it and gets a lovely cross into the near post, where it's flicked home by Jose Perez. Newcastle have pounced to score the opening goal. Leicester's revival under Rodgers has been rocked. Newcastle lead at the King Power.
I think Ricardo gets caught on his heels. Almiron's the one that causes the initial problem down this left-hand side. And once again, it's that tenacity in that middle of the park, and Ritchie picks it up. He's got a run on his left-hand side with Almiron. Ricardo comes over, he wins the ball, but then he gets sucked in. He thinks he can stop that ball from Ritchie, and Ritchie just moves it down the line. It's a great ball in, and we've spoken about his quality before. It's a great ball into that near post, and it's a terrific header from a player who's probably not the strongest in the air. He gets across West Morgan, and it's an absolute delightful header. No chance for Schmeichel.
Jose Perez is 7th of the campaign. He finished last season on an incredible hot streak, 6 goals in his last 8 Premier League appearances after just 2 in his first 28. So Newcastle fans perhaps hoping for more of the same as he gives them the lead at Leicester.
Just Ricardo, he got caught in no man's land. I think he thought he could get to the ball just before Ritchie did, but then he hesitated for half a second, which enabled Ritchie to get onto the ball and move it quickly. But great ball in, and it is a fantastic header.
Chilwell trying to get free on the left side, blocked off by 2 black and white jerseys, a third there to intercept as well. Newcastle trying to turn defence into attack again with their goal scorer Jose Perez, but he's pounced upon by Ndidi, and Leicester have it back inside the Newcastle half. That wasn't the first time that when Leicester's possession had broken down, though, Newcastle had an overload on this near side.
They've sort of been sloppy on the ball on a couple of occasions in their own half, maybe 25 yards from their own goal line. They've given it away, players have taken their eyes off the ball, and Newcastle have then been on the front foot to steal it.
Newcastle touch tight on the far side as Chilwell